Now, all things considered, I had a pretty decent game week in game week 18. I scored 64 points and I'm in 138k overall. But I made probably my worst transfer in my history of playing FPL. And here is my team selection for game week 19. Right, I'll start by looking at how my team got on then, and I'll talk about the worst transfer I've ever made in FPL. Although in hindsight, I probably would have made the move again. So I don't necessarily think it was the worst transfer in terms of decision making, just in terms of outcome. I got so unlucky. So I was really worried that Chelsea would rotate. Now, it was either come in, I think, in game week 18 or potentially game week 19, which we've got coming up, and we'll get onto that. But Maresca has proven that he has sort of a weekend team and a midweek team. And with game week 19, well, game week 18 and game week 17 being so close to one another, I was worried that he'd rotate his team. And you can see here, I've got Sanchez and Colwill in my team. And ultimately, I was worried that Sanchez wouldn't play. So what I did, I had Valdimarsson, the Brentford backup keeper, on my bench. And I thought, well, I'll be super safe. He's not playing. I'll transfer him out to Fabianski, who is playing. And I'll just have cover. You know, if Sanchez doesn't play, I'll have cover in Fabianski. It cost me, I think I lost 0.2 million doing the move because Fabianski was 4.1 and Valdimarsson was 3.9. He'd gone down in price. And as you all know what happened, Flecken got injured. So it meant Valdimarsson is now, I would imagine, the first choice Brentford keeper while Flecken recovers from injury. And Fabianski got injured. So he left the game and Areola played. So I brought in one substitute goalkeeper. I took out, one substitute goalkeeper who is now a starter for a starting goalkeeper who's now injured. And I still have Rob Sanchez in my team, who is an issue. He only scored 2 points. Obviously, he conceded. Against Fulham, they lost. Colwill, I'm very thankful with his assist. So yeah, I mean, he's going to stay in my team whatever happens. I think if he doesn't play in game week 19, so be it. Aina, I think Nottingham Forest have really proven themselves to be at least the third, if not second best defence in the league right now. They're absolutely fantastic. And I think keeping a clean sheet against Tottenham is a real achievement because Tottenham, despite all the criticisms you could have of them from a defensive standpoint, one thing they've not struggled to do is score goals. And yeah, Nottingham Forest kept a clean sheet against them. Timber, 9-pointer. What I'm really pleased to see with Timber is that he managed to outscore Gabriel. Although, how long I can realistically do without Gabriel in my team for, he could have scored again in game week 18. So, yeah, got a lucky escape, I think, for me on Gabriel. Pleased with the 9-pointer from Timber. Rodgers and Semenyo both blanking from an attacking perspective. Obviously, Semenyo kept a clean sheet. And then Rodgers blank against Newcastle. Newcastle were really good in that game. And I always felt that going into the game, and I think I've said it in videos gone by as well. I feel that Newcastle in St James's Park on their day can keep clean sheets and genuinely beat anyone. It's a really special place for them to play on their day. And I think they had one of their days there against Aston Villa. They were brilliant. Isak obviously with a goal as a result. I mean, he's probably the best forward in the game right now. Cole Palmer with a lovely goal as well. And Salah as my captain. Very happy with his return in that game. Haaland with a blank. Well, more than a blank. He missed a penalty, didn't he? I cannot believe that he has just been so poor. Well, I can looking back on it, but my expectations were low. I'm thinking of the meme with the guy holding up the cardboard then. But yeah, he's definitely underperformed even my expectations. Another blank, missed a penalty. I mean, I was hoping I might actually get a goal from him with a penalty, but yeah, obviously missed it. I just don't see a reason to really get rid of him. I'm going to talk about this in a bit more detail, but the demographic of like attacking players in FPL right now, there are so few options that I really want to pick that if I want to sell Haaland, great, I can sell him. But who do I realistically bring in who is better? I mean, I just don't think there is one. So I'm probably going to be cursed and stay with him. Another blank from João Pedro. He's potentially on the chopping block as well. I'll talk about potential replacements for him in a second. And yeah, 64 points, 138k overall. All right, so the way I'm going to treat this team selection video, I'm not going to go position by position and slowly reveal the team like I do in most team selection videos because there's not been a transfer plans video yet either. So I'm going to try and merge the two into one so you get an idea of the thinking behind my team. And the way I thought I'd structure it is by taking a look at my team if I were to not make any transfers. So here's how we're looking going into game week 19. Sanchez in goal, Robinson, Timber, Aina, Palmer. I think I'm going to go for Salah as my captain. I'm not really going to stress that too much. It's between Palmer and Salah. You know, Palmer with Ipswich away, which is a good fixture. Salah with West Ham away. I just think with the form that he's in at the moment, in the crazy season he's had, I just can't look away from Salah. My other alternative would have been Haaland, 7.2 expected points. He's sort of around there, but he's got Leicester away, which I think of the 3 players, that's the best fixture. But in current form, I just don't think I can justify captaining Haaland at the moment. So I think Salah's going to be my captain. So yeah, Palmer, Salah, Rodgers, Semenyo in my midfield. I could see potential alternatives to some of these players, but I'm thinking Rodgers and Semenyo. I'm not getting rid of Palmer and Salah, but I just think keeping them is the right way to go. I'm not too interested in getting rid of them. Haaland, Isak, and João Pedro up front, and there could be one potential change that I could make up front. First up was a replacement for Rob Sanchez, and I'm looking at defences across the league, and obviously Liverpool, Arsenal were the top 2. Well, I say that. I think Nottingham Forest are scratching around there, but definitely, you know, they're in the top 3, right? And they've got a goalkeeper, Matt Sales, 4.7 million, 8.7% ownership, so he actually counts as a differential at the moment. He's making 2.83 saves per 90, and he's kept 7 clean sheets from 18 appearances. So he is getting that magical combination I like in an FPL goalkeeper of a decent amount of saves per game. You know, he's basically getting the saves bonus every game, and then also a decent amount of clean sheets. I really like him as an option, and I'll just go back to my team. I also do like Rob Sanchez as an option, right? If there was no minutes threat for Sanchez, I would probably keep hold of him. But I'm really tempted to bring in Sales just for that minute security. The fact that probably Nottingham Forest are a better defence than Chelsea. And when you look at the fixtures, yeah, these fixtures for Forest are not too bad. Everton away, Wolves away, then they've got Liverpool. That's a tough one, fair enough. But the reverse fixture, Nottingham Forest won at Anfield and kept a clean sheet. So there's more outrageous things have happened than Nottingham Forest keeping a clean sheet at home to Liverpool. And then they got Southampton in Bournemouth. And yeah, I think that's a good run of fixtures for a good goalkeeper. And you can see there, I've got Aina in my defence as well. So I'd be doubled up on, you know, the potential 3rd best defence in the league. I quite like the idea of doing Sanchez to Sales. And then hopefully with Sales, I've got a goalkeeper that I can just pick and hold on to, at least until I play my wild card. Yeah, just an absolute rotten run of luck with goalkeepers at the moment. In fact, when I brought, I'm just going to moan a little bit here. When I brought Sanchez in the first place, I brought him in for Flecken, who wasn't keeping clean sheets. Then after I got rid of Flecken, I'm pretty sure he kept one of his first clean sheets of the season, and he actually got an assist as well. So I've had rotten bit of luck. And when I brought Sanchez in, that was the game. That was the game where Maresca rotated his starting 11 for that midweek game. So Sanchez didn't even play. So I sold Sanchez for Flecken, who got an assist, and Sanchez didn't even start. It was, yeah, an absolute nightmare. So I'm hoping if I do Sanchez to Sales, I can't believe I'm spending so many transfers on goalkeepers, but if I do Sanchez to Sales, that kind of fixes any injury, well, not injury worries, but minutes risks I have around my goalkeepers basically, and I can just pick one finally and stick with them. Now, I don't think there's any massive rush or justification to take out my defenders at the moment. Anthony Robinson, Aina and Timber is a pretty decent starting back 3, but one defender that I am really interested in is Daniel Munoz of Crystal Palace. Great value, and I think particularly with Ismaila Sarr being in the starting 11 now, he is playing like almost a left winger basically. His attacking data is fantastic. Sorry, left winger, right winger. His attacking data is fantastic. He could have scored, actually had a really good chance to score in Gameweek 18. It almost looks like pretty much every game I see Munoz play, he has a chance of scoring a goal. And, you know, that was no exception in Gameweek 18. He looks brilliant. In Crystal Palace, apart from that Chelsea at home fixture, which again, the defender at his price point, if you don't fancy the fixture, you can probably I could just bench him with the amount of defenders that I have in my team, right? He is, and I think Crystal Palace in general are turning things around from not only an attacking perspective, but I think now Chalobah and Lacroix, is it Lacroix or Lacroix, have sort of bedded themselves into that team and gotten used to playing there. They've really shored things up a bit defensively as well, obviously off the back of a clean sheet against Bournemouth. Southampton at home up next, Leicester, West Ham, Brentford as well, although Brentford's not necessarily the best fixture. I think it's a decent run of fixtures. He's decent defensively, decent from an attacking perspective. I really like him, but I'll just go back to this team. With Robinson, Timber and Aina, and Colwill as well, I don't think I can justify bringing him in, but if you're looking at it, I really look to make that transfer if you're in a position where it makes sense. For me, I really like him, but I just think the 3 I've got already, there's no point swapping him in. Now, I said I'm happy with my midfield, and I think for this week I can't realistically bring him in. With the money I have left in the bank and the midfielders that I have currently, Palmer, Salah, Rodgers and Semenyo, there's just not a space for Eze in my team. But I'm looking at Crystal Palace right now, and yes, Eze's had a fairly disappointing season so far, right? 3 attacking returns from 14 appearances is pretty woeful. But he scored 1 goal from 20 shots in the box, 3.57 XG. I know that's not great XG either. But what it's saying is he's underperformed his numbers massively. But not only that, his underlying numbers have also not been that good. So he's just underperformed in general so far this season. And he's been injured for bits of time. So those two things, why would I ever consider bringing in Eberechi Eze if he's been injured quite a bit, massively underperforming? That doesn't sound like a good player, does it? But I know the player that Eze is. I know what he has in his locker, and I know the performances and the points that he's scored in FPL in seasons gone by. He's pretty much nailed on to start for Crystal Palace whenever he's fit. I would say largely plays 90 minutes, although that might change with him just being managed for injuries. He's on free kicks, and although they probably will be shared with Mateta a little bit, I'm pretty sure he's the first choice Palace penalty taker. So all of those boxes I absolutely love in an FPL asset, right? And another point, I think I mentioned this at the start as well, I'm really struggling to get excited by many attacking assets in the game at the moment that I don't have in my team. I don't know if you guys are in a similar position, but I'm looking at the list of midfielders and strikers in the game at the moment, and Cunha may be the exception that I don't have in my team, that I probably want to get in my team, but he's due to be banned. I really do think he's going to be banned, so I can't buy him. Outside of that, there's no one, so I might be, scratching around for options here. But I do think with the track record he's got in the boxes that I mentioned he ticks, Eze could be a good option. I'll just go back to my team. 0.4 in the bank. I've got 2 cheapo midfielders under 6 million in Salah and Palmer. I just don't think there's a way for me to get him in my team right now, so I think I'm just going to stick with my midfield. Now, one increasingly painful point in my team is João Pedro. He is just continually not scoring any points, and with the way that my team is structured, I don't have a whole lot of money in my bank to replace him, and quite honestly, I don't really see a whole lot of forwards that I actually want to replace him with. So what I've done here is I've used Fantasy Football Hub. If you want to see this expected points data for yourself, there's a link to sign up to Fantasy Football Hub below. I'll get you 30% off and 30 days free. Sign up using the link in the description below. João Pedro, when you look at strikers that I can afford in the game, so what I've done is filtered by 6.1 million and below, because my selling price, I believe, for João Pedro is 5.8, and I've got 0.3 million in the bank. So the maths is simple. João Pedro, according to the expected points, is the number 1 striker. Second place is Raul Jimenez, who I'm not sure is going to play anymore with Muniz scoring and doing really well off the bench. I think Raul Jimenez's minutes, or I don't think he's going to start in Gameweek 19, basically. Strand Larsen, who is decent, but not really pulling up any trees. The same for Evan Nilsson of Bournemouth. I don't think he's doing all right, but I don't think he's ripping up any trees. Same with Delap, same with Vardy. So I look at all the strikers around this price point, and game for game, Strand Larsen, Evan Nilsson might be better than João Pedro, but honestly, I just don't think it's worth a transfer, which is really painful. So I'm stuck, basically. I feel like I'm stuck with João Pedro in my team, who is not performing very well. I want to get rid of, but I just can't see an alternative for. And I think a rule I like to follow I should try to follow more often than I have this season, but if you're not sure about a transfer, to not make it. So I think largely my team for game week 19 is probably going to stay the same with 1 transfer, and I cannot believe I'm going to make another 2 transfers in 2 weeks on goalkeepers. I think for surety of starts, I'm probably going to do Sanchez to Sales. Now, we'll find out. I'm going to do deadline stream Sunday morning or tomorrow morning at the time I'm recording this video. So we'll find out exactly what's happening with Chelsea. If there's any inkling that there's going to be that same first choice 11 or he's going to rotate. I mean, we didn't have any idea that he was going to rotate before, so I'm not sure we'll actually get a huge amount of news. I'll make the final decision on the deadline stream, but right now, I'm worried Sanchez is going to be rotated. And ultimately, I think Forest are better to own long-term defensively. So I think I'm going to do Sanchez to Sales. And yeah, keep my other 2 transfers for future weeks. All right, and that's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed that and found it useful. Like I said, I hope you can laugh at my disastrous goalkeeper transfer and the fact that I'm having to make another one It's just absolutely mental, isn't it? But that's the world of FPL that we live in. To be honest, despite that mental transfer, I'm still pretty happy with where I am. I think to be halfway through the season, 138k overall is a pretty good place to be. And I think it stands me in good stead to get a top 100k finish, which is what I was, my bare minimum goal, I guess, going into the season. So I think we're on for that. If you enjoyed the video, I'd really appreciate it if you could leave me a like rating. Let me know in the comments if there are any other transfers you'd make to my team. Yes, I could sell Erling Haaland, but like I said, there's not a whole lot of other options in the game that are really exciting me at the moment. So whilst he's been an absolute disappointment, I just don't really see how I could improve my team all that much. But yeah, let me know in the comments if you disagree. And if you haven't already, I'd really appreciate it if you could subscribe to the Goal to Goal channel. Should be just there, around there on your screen. And yeah, thank you very much for watching. I'll catch you on the deadline stream Sunday morning or in my next video.